Hello guys, I welcome you to VMS Projects Limited, where we design and build classic homes. I welcome you back to site. So this is episode 3 on the making of Project Samchuks. On this episode, we'll be talking about the reinforcement details. We'll talk about the T-base casting. We'll talk about the boarding of the raft beams. And we'll talk about also the boarding and the loosening of that raft beams, and also the possible casting of the raft beams.
So let's listen to the structural engineers. He will be sharing more insights about the reinforcement details.
Inverted T rafts beams were adopted for the project to increase the stability of the beams when settling into the soil. Now, the advantage is that the beam has a footing, something like a footing or like a flange, that is going to help increase the settlement or increase the balance of the beam when settling into the ground. A beam of 1.75 meters was adopted in this project. We don't design blindly. We adhere strictly to soil test values when designing and also when building. Also, the recommendation from the geotechnical team, their recommendation states that we should use shallow foundation such as rafts for this particular project. So 1.75, if we are going 1.25 meters into the ground, we did a beam 1.75 to have a height of 500 mm extra above the natural ground level to get to our DPC height. We cannot just put a beam on 1.25 meters into the ground. It will be so flat on the surface. So we needed the building floor to come up 500 mm away from the natural ground. That is why 1.25 plus 500 mm. That's how you got 1.75 meters beam. The top reinforcement, we use 3 16 mm for the top reinforcement, and the bottom we use 6 16 mm for the bottom reinforcement, because most of the axial load coming from the columns are going to terminate or are going to hit the bottom zones of the beam. Now, imagine a point load from the columns coming at the bottom zones of the beam, and the reinforcement is not adequate enough to withstand that tensile stress coming from the columns. So we had to calculate and do our calculations and discover that 616 mm at the bottom zones of the beam is strong enough to withstand that axial pressure or axial load coming from the columns in the building when they are loaded.
So after we have achieved the excellence on the raft beam reinforcements and gotten approval to cast, then we'll be doing our casting in 2 segments. The first one would be the base casting. This will enable us to have our raft boards in place, before the raft beam casting.
So on our consideration for the boarding system, we adopted the marine boards, and those marine boards will have about 100 marine boards on this project. The project is not even up to 200 square meters, and we are using about 100 marine boards, and each of those marine boards cost about 25,000. So you can imagine 2.5 million naira on just marine boards. Then on the brazing of this boarding, we are very, very particular about the brazing. We have about 1,000 2x3 wood that we use for the brazing, because brazing is very important to this, because if it's not properly brazed, the whole system is collapsed, and if it collapses, it's a very serious issue. So we spend so much time on our brazing by adopting vertical, horizontal, and diagonal type of bracing system. So with that, our bracing system is very secured, and we can cast our columns and we can cast our beams without having so much issue on the bracing system. So also, after the bracing, then we can start up our casting, and by doing the casting, we know we've achieved excellence on the raft beams. And just take a look at this. Take a look at this. Look at how wonderful the raft beams are. We achieved excellence on the raft beams. So on the next episode, we'll be talking about the filling of the raft beams. We'll talk about the watering. We'll talk about the compaction. We'll talk about the DPM and possibly the reinforcement details that will be on top of the DPM before we do our German floor. See you on the next one. Thank you very much. And my name is Victor Zubinge. God bless you.
Project Limited, building right all day long.